Good evening to everyone. Welcome to the Partnership Delivery Group. Thank you for your attendance this evening. Okay, can I remind you, please, if you ask questions or whatever, it is recorded. And I don't want telling off after the meeting by Laura for not reminding you. So if you use the microphones, please. Yes, yeah. First item is apologies for absence.
Apologies from Councillor Sarah Bailey.
Thank you very much. Item 2, any declarations of interest? No declarations of interest. Item 3 is the minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday the 8th of January. Everyone should have seen a copy. Is everybody happy there? True record. Thank you. Thank you very much. Item 4 is the Grantham Canal Partnership with the Canal and Rivers Trust. I'd like to welcome Kevin Tyson. Oh, just testing you, see if you notice. It's covered up on mine, so I've covered it up. I think. Sorry about this. Problem with the chair. Yes, Laura sent round the action and response sheet. Thank you, Laura, for doing that. Yes. Everybody happy with that?
It says a response will be provided at the meeting.
I ended up sending out an email earlier this week to all.
Yes.
Oh, you've
Not seen it. Right. I'll go home and dig for it.
That's correct, Chair. So we thought it would be helpful to send it out in advance of the meeting rather than actually, because the information came before the meeting, so it has been sent out.
Jean, if you want to.
Oh,
that's just for your information anyway. Okay, I won't rush then, but it's item 4 now. So I'd like to welcome Kevin to the meeting. Thank you for coming to speak to us today and look forward to your presentation. Do you want to say anything before we start?
It's with Leanne.
Okay, Leanne, thank you. Could you just press the, thank you.
Sorry. This report and presentation is to update members on the working partnership and relationship with the Council and the Canal and River Trust and the work that they've been doing together since 1992. It started with capital works and has then later moved towards maintaining those works. Since 2003, we've had a partnership agreement, an SLA with the Canal and River Trust, and today Kevin's going to discuss that and explain the works that have been carried out over that time.
Thank you. Do I press this button here? Right. Am I on? Yeah. Good. Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Greatly appreciate it being invited along today to present. There was going to be 2 of us. Apologies, my colleague has been taken away to hospital, unfortunately, with a relative. So it's down to me this evening. So a little bit about me. Obviously, I'm Kevin. I've been with the Trust for 20 years. My background is civil engineering and contract management, and I've been doing a national role now for about 4 or 5 years. So there are numerous SLAs and operational sort of contracts that we manage as a team nationally, and they're being devolved into regions. Obviously, this one will fall into our East Midlands area, which is currently administered from Newark, but is going to be relocated more within the Nottingham-Leicester area within about 2 years, I believe. So we've got a few slides to hopefully depict what we've been undertaking over the last few years. So the aim of the slides is to demonstrate what the Trust do initially nationally within the East Midlands region, and what we deliver through the contract with yourselves. So, brief synopsis of who we are, what we're about, maintaining the waterways for future generations to enjoy. We became a trust in 2012, being transferred from a government asset the largest ever transfer of public assets into the voluntary sector at the time. The Trust's purpose is to protect, manage and improve the nation's canals for future generations to enjoy. We look after approximately 2,000 miles of navigation, thousands of listed structures and assets, and there's about 8 million people in England and Wales who live within a few minutes walk of our network. The Trust has been rebranded to a wellbeing charity about six to 9 months ago, engaging with local communities to increase awareness of the waterways, and in doing so offer fantastic opportunities for public health and well-being. So our asset is linear, it's free to access, there's no fences, so the public can get on and off the towpath, use it for exercise. Life is better near water, increases the well-being. We're trying to act as a natural health service in that the walking along the canals, the fishing, the cycling, things of that nature brings about the well-being. So connecting people, places and society with the canals, building communities, building well-being and increasing the awareness of the Trust. This slide is a story of two halves really. To the left we have a brief overview of our spend, and to the right we see how our income is broken down. So for every kilometre of grass and hedgerow we cut, it costs about £780. When we have a bridge strike, so we have a lot of public road bridges, as indeed yourselves will, constantly being struck by articulated vehicles. Rough cost of one of those replacements or repairs about £25,000. If we have to do some work to lock chambers and replace the gates, they're between £30,000 and £50,000 a set of gates. And to regrout a lock chamber, so if we have any leakage within a chamber, again you're talking significant amounts of money. Every time we undertake repairs to a lock, we have to dewater it. Prior to dewatering, we have to engage with fish rescue, etc. So the environment plays a huge part of what we do. Culvert repairs, extremely difficult and very costly, so about £200,000 for a culvert repair. So that's a brief synopsis of how we spend and how our money is attributed moving through. How we get our money in, so our finance, how does that pull together? We get about £6 million from donations, so friends of the trusts, local authorities in SLAs, all that contributes into the about £6 million. We have a DEFRA grant, which is a major part of our funding. That's worth about £50 million per annum, and that grant is due to be renegotiated before 2025. We gain £38 million from boat licensing and moorings. We gain income from our marinas, about £8 million. Utilities, so cable and fibre within the towpath brings in about 28 million, and investment within our portfolio of property is about 51 million pounds per annum. And then we have third party income, charitable activities, etc., which is about another 22 million. So overall, 205 million pounds per annum is coming in, but it's costing more to maintain the asset. And the agreement with government is we need to maintain our assets as of existing standards, where they can't deplete or deteriorate. So it's maintaining those, but at the same time increasing awareness of the waterways, increasing local community engagement, and forming that collaborative and cohesive approach so that more people are aware of the canals and the benefits that that they offer. So moving on, what the Trust do in the East Midlands region comprises of the following really. We've got 475 kilometres of waterways. That's a 50-50 split in this area between river navigations and canals. We get about 3,300 boats moving up and down in this area. 61 million visitors annually to this region. There's 2 million spent on repairs, maintenance of locks, bridges, towpaths, bank protection, numerous assets. Assets aren't just those bridges and locks. We determine assets now as number of trees we have, embankments. So we have an holistic approach to assets and asset management. £1.3 million is spent annually on vegetation in the area. And that includes the grass cutting, the hedges, the bins, the clearing of fly tipping, which is becoming more and more abundant, and a lot of hazardous waste we found tipped in our hedgerows and on canal banks, purely because it's easy to get to, it's unfenced, it's unlit, and we don't have CCTV all over the place, so we generally get some abuse from that. Our relationship with yourselves, as suggested earlier, we signed an agreement to work together back in 2003. It's a 21 years agreement till 2024, and the value of the agreement is currently about £40,000 per annum. The agreement covered work to construct multi-user towpaths, install motorcycle defences, put car parking facilities in here, and access improvements adjoining the Grantham Canal between Lady Bay Bridge and the Smythe Aqueduct. We have numerous methods of delivering works, contracts, volunteers, direct labour and mixtures of both. The Trust delivers the majority of our vegetation work in partnership with Fountains. It covers grass cutting, arb works, hedges, customer service facilities, cleaning, emptying the bins, etc. So it covers numerous aspects. It was awarded in 2013. It's a 10-year term, and we administer it using the NEC3 term service contract. I don't know whether the local authority uses that at all.
The NEC contract.
The NEC suite. Yeah. Core works for Rushcliffe, grass cutting. The towpaths are cut 6 times per year, equating to approximately 136 kilometres. We have designated picnic sites at Gamston, Cropwell and Hickling Basin. Those cut 9 times a year, and there's about 20,000 metres square of cutting there. And we undertake hedge maintenance, trying to keep areas open. We do that out of breeding season, bird breeding season, and there's about 22 kilometres of that. We have core maintenance works that we undertake. So we have to clear around the structures, around our assets. So there's 31 assets in this area, 31 bridges, 25 culverts, 2 aqueducts, all need clearing. We undertake spraying to keep weed down on hard surfaces. That's undertaken twice during the growing season. We undertake additional works when we have reactive trees such as windblown. So when we have a storm move through, we have an amazing amount of trees, and we always cop for a few coming down during the stormy seasons. We have a high priority tree survey which we undertake every 2 years. So we go out with tree surveyors and we'll look at each tree and we assess high, medium and low risk, and then we tackle the high priority works along with notifications. So how we determine what's needed and where it's needed, we have an inspection team that go out 11 times a year. They assess everything that we own, and they're looking for change. So if there's any deterioration which is visible, that's noted, and it's noted in a notification. Those notifications stack up, and that's how we attribute work. So the larger the amount of notifications, the higher up on the priority list the works are, and we take that. We do a lot of aquatic weed removal. This picture to the right depicts a truck saw which mechanically cuts under the water the reeds and creates the channel. And we also undertake land-based invasive weed spraying throughout the growing season, so that we have a major problem with giant hogweed, with knotweed, with Himalayan balsam, and we have different manners and ways of tackling that. Balsam is usually undertaken with volunteer groups led by the trust to pull that out. Hogweed is injected or sprayed, so it's quite a nasty invasive.
Could I just ask?
Certainly.
Truxel,
Yeah.
on the previous slide, does it work like a can't remember what they're called, a roticide type
Yes.
thing?
So if you similar process to a hedge trimmer, so you've got two blades that cut underwater, so it cuts down quite low, and then it brings it up into the vessel.
Oh, so you do scoop it out?
Yes, there's an area where it comes up onto the vessel, sometimes some of the conveyors on the back, onto the vessel, and then we utilise that. We can compost that and try and reuse it. That's the best way of doing things, because trying to get things to landfill is extremely expensive. It's inefficient, and it's just too.
It's a bit heavy as well.
It is. You have to leave it to drain, and obviously, once you start removing something from a navigable channel, you have to look at contaminants. You have to look at where you put it. So the ecologists get involved as to where the land is you're going to store it on, what sort of membranes you put down to prevent cross-contamination, and then it's to dry out, and then you have to ship it out and do something with it. So there's lots of work around aquatic invasives and indeed land invasives. We undertake re-clearance by both mechanical methods and by hand outside of bird nesting season. So there's the Cockgrave feeder that's been used. So the excavator goes in. Again, there's attachments on there which do a similar process. So they cut it, scoop it up, and then we have to move that on. And in other areas, smite feeder is done by hand removal. So it depends upon the circumstance, the situation, and the environment which we're working in as to which methods we adopt. But the hand clearance is quite onerous and time consuming. So the service level agreement improvements, these next few slides depict the improvements made as part of the SLA between our two parties and form part of that contracted package. So top left, the installation of the footbridge off the A46. We've got access bridges at Gamston and barriers and ramp improvements. All those were installed as part of the initial setup and been maintained throughout. Gamston, we've got the bridge installed over the canal to improve access, footbridges, towpath access routes in and out, and installation of benches, so there's areas to sit and just absorb some of the natural delights of well-being near waterways. So those are again areas which the initial agreement set out to put in place. Cockgrave, similar works. Fencing around the lock was installed, cycle barriers to slow cyclists down, because without the barriers people were zipping through, and as that That's more and more apparent these days because cyclists are trying to get off the road for reasons that we all know about. And cycling along the towpath is a much more tranquil and safe environment. However, there are users, people who walk on the towpath, people who take their children there, so pushing them with buggies, and we have altercations where cyclists come screaming through, and we have some impacts. So it's about trying to put measures in place that doesn't spoil the environment and doesn't spoil the tranquility, but also slows people down. So we have to have a balance. It's open for all, it's free use for all, so we need to encourage that. We planted hedges and more access track barriers. Lady Bay, again, towpath improvements, cycle barrier installations, roadside hedge maintenance from both the towpath and the roadside. Again, that's a cyclic event. We come and we cut the hedges back, we keep the grass down, and we ensure that it's an open, friendly environment. Right, wider benefits within the Rushcliffe area. These are slides that my colleague put together, so we'll work through those the best we can. As a trust, we work with a wide and varied volunteer partners. We engage with the Grantham Canal Society, Inland Waterways Association, Waterway Recovery Groups, nurseries, Nature's in Mind, local universities, scouts, anglers, and friends of Lady Bay. And this picture to the right depicts local community volunteers engaging with the trust to bring about betterment and maintenance within the community. Friends of Lady Bay, the trust chaired community meetings in late 2017 and summer of 18 when the canal dried up due to drought conditions. I don't know whether anyone noted that. We now work in partnership with the Lady Bay community through community adoption schemes. So that's about getting local communities engaged with the trust, with the community, or developing that area of well-being. So more people that know about it, more people get engaged, and it's like their back garden. It's about keeping up that maintenance and enjoying participating with friends. So the community adopted Lady Bay section of the Grantham, and it takes from Radcliffe Road towards Nottingham, and we've been working them to make this remainder section of the canal better for everyone. So we're really opening it up, we're really making an impact in there. So again, it's about engaging the communities, getting the well-being, looking at the health benefits really of getting a bit of gentle exercise down by the waterway and having that tranquil environment in which to volunteer and partake in. Activities include public access, towpath improvements, vegetation clearance, habitat improvements for wildlife, painting, fence repairs. They undertake litter picks. We have bulb planting sessions so that in the spring we get the flowers coming out. So it's creating a better environment for everyone, and again that local community are really buying in, and that's something that we're engaging with now nationally, trying to get more and more of this sort of this community engagement, this bond and cohesion with community working. Last year the group raised £1,500 and the trust donated £500 to hire in a truck saw machine for a week for the trial removal of reeds from the channel. It worked so well, we're planning to hire another this year. We've donated £1,000 towards that. So it's about getting that community active, opening it up, making it better. There's been a dramatic increase in the waterfowl and the birds after the work, and of course the community were delighted with the results. So opening it up, getting different species in there, increasing the wildlife has been excellent. Trust support the group throughout 2019 to include improving public access points, installing planters, bring more colour and interest, introducing wildflowers. We work with other partners and businesses to further improve the green-blue corridor for the wider community in Rushcliffe. Tiny Talkers Day Nursery is attached to a nursing home and formed the Rushcliffe Helping Hands adoption, and Channel 4 actually televised this old people home for 4-year-olds where old and young work together for the benefit of the wider community. Sorry.
That was at Clifton, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yes, what was it called?
Sorry. My notes I've added to the slides this evening. As I say, these were pulled together by my colleagues, so well spotted. my sincere apologies for that. So, Helping Hands Adoption, Channel 4, highly televised, old and young working together for the benefit of the wider community. On the back of that, Trust Education team are getting into the schools, so bringing about the awareness not only of how tranquil the environment is, how green it is, how nice an area is it, but also highlighting some of the hazards. So we have deep water, in the bywashes around the locks, there's fast running water, and unfortunately we do attract children throughout the summer who like to come and have a swim in the canals and navigable waterways, which is a huge concern. Some of these assets, when they're dewatered, there's many years of deposited material in the bottom of them. Shopping trolleys, old cycles, you name it, safes. There's an ordnance we found, goodness knows what, in the bottom of canals throughout the years. So, developing as a wellbeing charity, the benefits of working close to nature are an excellent base in which to build and promote well-being and recovery and engagement with nature related activities. The Trust work in partnership with Nature in Mind to deliver hedgerow improvements along the Grantham Canal through the postcode lottery Helping Hedgerows project, and it helps. Nature in Mind supports people with mental health issues and getting them out, promote their well-being and aid their recovery. So again, it's going back to that natural health service. So we're helping by getting people out, using nature, using the fresh air, getting people moving. So all too much these days, especially the younger generations, they're on the smartphone, they're on the tablets, they're on game stations. Very much different to when I was a child. The Grantham Canal Society is one of our most established partners. Grantham Canal Heritage Initiative is to restore locks 14 and 15. Canal Rangers report defects, collect litter and lead guided walks and engage with the public. So the rangers are volunteers. So we have volunteer rangers, we have volunteer lock keepers. And maintenance work such as tree management, towpath management, small repairs are undertaken using small hand tools. We use the contractors for major works, chainsaw orientated works and section felling. If it's small sapling clearing, we can use that by handheld non-powered equipment, which again we're pulling communities in to engage and be included within this work. And recent work include the control of self-set trees. So that picture there is a volunteer group led by our volunteer leaders undertaking those tasks. So again, as I said, it's run by the Trust volunteer leading group. We provide all the PPE, we provide all the RAMs, so the risk assessments, the method statements, etc. whether it's delivered through volunteers, contractors, or our own direct labour organisation, the risk assessments and method statements and specifications are the same, so it's transparent. So we wouldn't have a volunteer group undertaking anything which wasn't set out to our mandatory standards. We promote and engage communities, litter picking, fly tip removal, painting, general maintenance to improve the area. We obviously, as with local authorities, you could do with rather more money than what we have. So when we undertake works to sort of a mechanised swing bridge, which crosses the canal and it could be attached to a public road, so it's a mechanised public road bridge, we'll get in there and we'll spend the money wisely, but it may be around the pintle, so that's the hinge point where the bridge turns. But all that money will be spent, hundreds of thousands of pounds, but to the local community, what have we done? So we've held up traffic for 2 or 3 weeks, and the bridge works again, but it was working before we undertook that repair. So what are the benefits? What are the visual benefits to doing that? So whilst we've got the road closures on, and we're doing all the good work underneath with the contractors, we engage with volunteer groups to undertake minor repairs. So there may be some elements of rusting, some painting that we've done. So by engaging the community, they understand what we're about. We have regular progress meetings where the volunteers and community leaders get involved. So it's about that open, transparent collaboration and well-being. Obviously, the well-being benefits through exercise, sense of achievement, community, and social interaction. And once we get a group of people together, they're quite thirsty to do other elements. It's not the same task all the time, so we've got to generate a bit of spice to things, so give them other elements to do. If a volunteer group was just coming to clear litter every day of the week for 12 months, their enthusiasm would soon wane. So it's about how we can best move forward and engage with local communities and understand their skill sets and utilise them. Gramston Towpath Task Force set up for local community due to concerns raised during the 2018 drought. Works include litter management, towpath maintenance, painting site features. Community is also to engage local businesses to support the care of the waterway. So in many areas we don't have people looking outwards to the waterways. People turn their backs to them, and we discovered when we looked at rebranding how many people knew about a waterway and how many people didn't care about it. And there are some areas which are jewels in the crown, which I would take my children along on a daily basis. There are other areas which I would not go down there alone, and it's about bringing these areas, inner city areas, up to standards.